throws it in front, score! Chris Kreider, it's a power play goal!
What's up, MotherPuckers, and welcome to our first episode of Shut the Puck Up, our first full episode. And we're allowed to say that. As far as I'm aware, they'll cut the cameras if not. We're joined by co-host Luke.
How's it going?
How are we doing?
Not bad.
All right. For our first episode, we're just going to talk about what we were talking about in our earlier segment last time, which is the players to look out for. Where we left off, we were talking about the Hughes brothers, the three of them, which, first off, what an impressive family that is to have. Three players all in the league at the same time, two of them on the same team, Luke and Jack on the Devils, and then Quinn Hughes on Vancouver, who he's the captain of. And Vancouver was very good during the regular season. Last season, they were number one for quite a while, actually.
I mean, that's just a good team overall.
Yeah, they were good. The Devils, of course, lack, but I feel like Luke Hughes and Jack Hughes are kind of like their big players, I would say.
Then Heeshire.
Yeah, him, of course.
Of course, goalie's a question, as it always is every year.
Yeah, the Devils thing is always their goaltending, which is always going to be a little difficult. The Hughes brothers, I think, are all great. They are all three of them on the cover of the new NHL game.
That's pretty cool.
It's so weird for them to be able to be in the same league together. I just still can't get over it.
I think you had the Stahl brothers. Obviously, I think most of them are retired now.
Yeah.
There's like four of them playing at the same time. It's not that uncommon, but they weren't as good as the Hughes brothers.
Yeah. You got to wonder how the parents feel. And they're also young, too. And another young player that we were looking at, Connor Bedard. I think you can't talk hockey without talking Connor Bedard. He's kind of, obviously he hasn't become the face of hockey. I think that's still Wayne Gretzky for most people. But I think Bedard is on that level of, like, McDavid. Like, I think he's starting to get there. I don't think he's going to break the same amount of records, but I think he came in with that same amount of, like, talking power where he's starting to become kind of a household name like that.
Like, if you're in hockey circles, like, I've been following Bedard since he was 16 as a junior. So, like, he's been around for a while and has been touted as this really good guy, and he's really good. Yeah,
he's been coming in very strong in these games, and he's also on a team that is not the greatest. I mean, obviously they used to be very great, but as of right now, they're in this weird rebuilding phase, so they're definitely struggling a little bit, and he is kind of like their only hope. But Bedard, he came in very hot, and now he's very well known. And we have another player that's setting up to do that as well, which is Macklin Celebrini, who was our first overall draft pick this year, and he's in San Jose, which is the worst team in the NHL as of right now.
They're the worst team probably by far.
There's definitely are.
No hope there for a while.
But Macklin Celebrini might be that hope, and whether he's happy to be on that team, we don't know. But he came in strong with his preseason game against Vegas. He scored a goal and got an assist, which is that was his first ever like NHL game. Obviously not his first ever regular season. We'll have to see how that goes for him. But to score a goal and an assist in your first game against like big players, especially in Vegas, who is a cup winner, only 2 years ago now. So they still have like star talent, even though they dumped a couple of people off. But I think Macklin Celebrini is definitely building up to be a very good player, and I've heard a lot about him from before him even joining the NHL.
Goal and assist in your preseason debut, if that says anything, it says that he's adjusting well, I think, to everything. There's going to be an adjustment period probably when he plays and he gets to actually play against those first-team players. I don't know how many of those cup winners they were pleased
Yeah, it is going to be a bit of a thing because I feel like, you come in, you're going to get pushed around. And especially when you're a first-round draft pick like that, they're going to kind of target this kid a little bit. But also, it's a team that, I don't know, I think the fact that it's so, empty and, there's not that many great players gives him the chance to kind of, thrive on his own. But we'll see how far he can get without other players really helping him or if he will be what that team needs to progress.
Definitely. I mean, San Jose made it to the Cup Finals, but that was eons ago at this point. They're not the same team.
Yeah, they were the first team eliminated this round.
Yeah, they were
worst in the league the entire time except for a short break when Bedard was out on injury because that was when Chicago couldn't win. So the Blackhawks fell to last place, and then Bedard came back, and they went up that one extra spot, not being the worst team in the league. So the San Jose Sharks ended up keeping that worst team in the league.
It's a little bleak there, yeah.
Yeah. And then talking about Vegas and, gutting your team, which Vegas is kind of known for this at this point, to not have this remorse for their teammates. Marchessault obviously being traded to Nashville, and then Stamkos from Tampa Bay as well also went to Nashville, which are two crazy trades, especially Stamkos said, I wanted to retire with Tampa. He was I was willing to do everything. Tampa just did not want to keep me. And obviously he made good money off of this. But
yeah. That door was shut when Tampa signed Gensel. They made the trade for the Gensel signing rights and then signed Gensel for that 8-year deal. And Stamkos goes up to Nashville with Marchessault. They've already got a pretty decent team. They're pretty average last year, but those are two really good players that they've added.
And two very expensive players, too.
Yeah.
So that is going to definitely cost them a lot of money. We don't know how much wiggle room that they'll have now with the rest of their team. Do you think it's worth it for them to spend as much as they did on just two players? Especially Stamkos is kind of up there in age, Marchessault as well, but I feel like Stamkos a little more.
It's worth it. I think for the short-term boost, they were just kind of hovering in limbo. They weren't getting better year in, year out, and they weren't getting worse year in, year out. Now they've got better. They've got a really good goalie in Saros. They've got a good defenseman in Yossi, top 10 defenseman. So you put that all together, two very good forwards. I think that helps out a lot.
All right, yeah. So I think now we're going to take a quick pause, and then we're going to transition into talking our preseason. So we'll be right back. For you guys, it'll be instant. For me, it'll be 5 seconds. All right, welcome back. See, told you that'd be fast. All right, and now we're just going to do a quick little preseason talk because I don't know about you, I haven't been keeping up exactly with this preseason, and it's preseason. It's not that interesting, but there's two main things that I want to talk about. The more interesting one we'll get into later, but the first one I want to get into is Utah. Utah Hockey Club, Utah's newest hockey team that killed the Arizona Coyotes, and their first goal ever on their team was scored against themselves. They scored in their own net because they empty netted, and then in a failed pass, they ended up scoring on themselves.
That's unfortunate.
As the first goal for a franchise, how do you think that team is going to do?
Not great, and I wasn't expecting them to do great. It's right on brand for them.
I mean, yeah, when you come from Arizona, it's not like the Arizona Coyotes were that great either. No, but that is such a telling sign. But they still won that game, so there is hope for them. And then the other game that we're going to talk about is the Rangers versus Islanders game, which is the most interesting game that I think has happened recently. Because I don't know if you saw the lines. They had all of our mainstay players out there, which the game before that we had all these kind of AHL and kind of lower people. This was almost more of a regular season game, I felt. They had Trouba Panarin and Lafreniere, all of them out. And in true Rangers fashion, we came up from behind again because the Islanders had, I think, a 4-goal lead over us for most of the game.
It's preseason.
It's preseason, but it's also very reminiscent, especially of the Stadium Series, because I feel obviously that Stadium Series game was huge. We were down by so much and then came up by 5 goals randomly. For that to just happen again against the Islanders, I don't think the Islanders are not that great, and I don't think they're going to become much greater this season. And I think we gotta get on that and get on defense, because if these pucks are all going in, it's a defense issue, and it's our biggest thing. That's what killed us during postseason. That's what killed us during regular season. Is we just trust in Igor, and yeah, that's good, but our defense is just lacking most of the time. Would you agree?
Yeah, Jacob Trouba was playing. That's the problem.
Will Trouba be staying past this year? Who knows? Maybe once his wife graduates from her medical college, they'll finally trade him.
There's a nice home for him in Detroit.
Detroit was looking for him.
I hear Detroit's a nice city.
Detroit. I don't know about that. I don't know if I've heard that about Detroit.
I have.
You have? Okay. We'll tell Trouba that. Well, with that, now we're going to transition over to our Rangers talk. We're going to take another quick break. We'll be right back. And, yeah, that is it. And we'll be right back now. Alrighty, and we are back, and we're back at it. Now we're just going to be talking Rangers, what they need to do to win the Cup, because clearly they should have done that last season. It would have been perfect. 1994 was the last time we won, 2024 being the next time that we win. Did you see all that like skepticism stuff? Oh, there was an earthquake in New York City the same time as there was like last year and all this.
I was buying into it.
I was buying into it too. When Trouba made the guarantee that we would win the game against the Hurricanes, and then we did, same way that Marc Messier did in '94. But now it's time to look at this team who now is a serious Cup contender. As you look at the way that the Florida Panthers, they got so far and then lost just 2 years ago, and I think that loss kind of drove them to work as hard as they did to get back. So the question is, are the Rangers going to do that, or are they going to fall behind again? So
there's the President's Trophy curse. If you win the President's Trophy, which means you're the best team during the regular season, that team, like 90% of the time, doesn't win the Cup. Yeah,
I think the last time, because I was looking at this when that happened, I think the last time was in 2012, I want to say. The Blackhawks won the President's Trophy and the Stanley Cup, but it's only happened a few times. Like, it doesn't happen that recently.
So if you're superstitious like that, if the Rangers don't win the President's Trophy next year, they have a better chance at winning the Stanley Cup.
So, which is crazy. If you are not the number one team, you have a better chance at winning.
Yeah, despite how it should sound.
Despite how that sounds. And then there was the whole superstition that Florida had with, what trophy? Just the Eastern Conference trophy or whatever. If you touch it, then you lose, and I believe they touched it their first time around, and when they made it in the playoffs, they touched it and they lost. And then there's a clip of when they won against the Rangers, their coach goes, "Don't touch that trophy." And they were making sure.
Yeah, I mean, the Rangers should have beat the Panthers in the playoffs. If they beat the Panthers, they win the Stanley Cup. The Oilers
that was
were
well
no
known.
match.
Yeah, the Oilers, we don't know how they kind of made it as far as they did. I mean, well, McDavid. Whether they'll come back, who really knows? But now it's time to just focus on the next season, our next players, which brings us to New York's favorite, Matt Rempe, who is a fan favorite, but is he that great?
So the only true value he brings is fighting.
I think he also brings a presence with that fighting, and like people, like you'll see, like if he's coming near you, like other teams like move out of the way.
They'll definitely play it safe, and it's good to have an enforcer, but that enforcer position's slowly getting faded out. So if Matt Rempe can't learn how to score or play defense,
that's the thing. That's what he really has to pick up, is like scoring more, and also not catching such dumb penalties. I feel like a little bit of it was kind of just, oh, he's big and he's known for fighting, so I feel like the refs tend to kind of call some things. Like there was one hit that he made, and I think he hit someone in the face. He's like, "I'm 7 feet tall. Like, how can I not? That guy was short." I don't know.
But Rempe is definitely a fringe guy to make the opening roster.
Yeah. So then we have our other kind of upcoming players, which is Edstrom. I feel like they're very much trying to get him up, and then Brendan Othman.
6'7".
Yeah. Edstrom, I think they're definitely trying to get him up. You said, you were talking about him, that he's were you saying that he was aggressive?
Aggressive, big power forward, like a Rick Nash type.
Yeah, and that's
big,
good. That can I think what the team really needs is like that presence, because we have Trouba and we have Cooley, because Cooley I think he had like a bunch of hits and everything, but Trouba, he's good with getting hits, but he's not good at keeping them clean.
No.
So what we need is clean hitters that can do that.
He's become a defensive liability.
Yeah.
When I watch him, it reminds me of what they were doing with the defense, like towards the end of Lundqvist's career. The defense was just not doing anything for Lundqvist. And Trouba specifically gives me those flashbacks.
Yeah. But Edstrom, Othman, and then another player that was on the team and then he was kind of out on injury the whole time was Keedle. I don't know if I'm saying his name right.
Keedle.
He's making a comeback. I think he's going to have a good season.
Keedle's very good.
Because he's a very good player. He just had the unfortunate thing of being on injury for so long. He made it back in the playoffs for a little bit, but I think what we really need is defense.
Defense. Yeah, goal scoring's not going to be a problem.
Yeah, we have our goaltenders. We have everything set up. We just need our defense to be there, and then I think we do have good goal scorers. I think we have Panarin, Lafreniere. They're good players for us. So I think it's going to be a good season. I think we are definitely going to be able to make it further this time. I think this year is our year.
Me too. I think this is it.
All right, you heard it here first, folks. And that is going to be it for our segment, for our show. Thank you so much for the first episode of Shut the Puck Up. It's been an honor, and I will see you later, all y'all MotherPuckers.
The waiting is over. The New York Rangers are the Stanley Cup